Ever sit down to create content and think, I've literally said everything there is to say about this topic, my niche, etc.? If so, you're in good company because as a content strategist who literally writes over 100 blogs per month with my team as content marketers or a boutique content marketing agency, we are constantly looking for new ways to find fresh content ideas that are still really relevant to selling our clients' offers, our own offers, and sometimes it is no easy feat. So today, I'm sharing 9 ways to find content ideas that are actually worth creating. I'm not talking about the stuff that you could just type into ChatGPT and then you're like, what the heck is this? Like maybe this is a content idea, but I don't see how it's going to help me sell my service or product. I'm going to share instead 9 real ways to find content ideas that are worth creating across blogs, YouTube, Pinterest, social media, wherever you're creating content. These ideas will help you. So let's dive in. And before we do, if you're new to my world, I'm Kara. I run the Kara Report. We're a boutique content marketing agency. Kind of said that already, but basically we help small business owners get found online. So search driven marketing is our thing. Primarily, we're focused on blog posts to rank on like SEO, Google, AI, whatever. If someone's searching for it, we want you to be found, and Pinterest. If content creation has been feeling really heavy lately, I want you to think of this video like your creative reset. These tips are literally the same ones that I use with my clients and in my own business. So if you want to hire me, just head straight to the description box and find the details there. If you want to do it on your own, I've got you. Let's go. One of my favorite tips to make your content ideas go farther is to create a content series. I know this isn't exactly groundbreaking, but if you're constantly asking yourself, what do I post this week? Why not consider a series? Instead of posting one big roundup and calling it done, look at ways to turn one idea into a multi-part series. I often find that we run out of ideas because we're going too wide with the topics that we're sharing instead of like going super, super niche. Like each blog post has so much to it that often you can go more microscopic on the pieces that live within the blog post, if that makes sense. So, for example, one blog, which is like 9 Pinterest trends in 2026, as an example, yes, that's a great blog post on itself, but each of those trends could also have their own blog post. And then you do kind of like a deep dive into it. And then this ultimately gives your audience more to binge, which is awesome. But it also gives your website or wherever you're creating the content like a larger footprint. So it's going to help boost the primary place that you're sharing this topic. If, for example, if you have a blog post that is like 9 Pinterest trends to watch, and then each of the 9 individual blogs link back to this one cornerstone blog, that really is a strong signal to Google and again, AI models that that content is incredibly valuable and there's depth to it. My second way to find fresh content ideas is to just like literally mine your own archives. So you have so much content, I guarantee you've forgotten about it because again, I do this for myself and I do this for my clients. I recently turned a 2023 blog post into a podcast episode and that podcast episode ended up performing so well. This video that I'm recording at the very tail end of 2025 originally went live on my podcast a year ago. I went through it, I've updated it, I've made it more relevant to a YouTube audience, and I have a feeling this is also going to perform well for me. So fingers crossed and thank you for watching. My point is your old carousels, emails, podcast outlines, even launch copy, all of it can be reworked into fresh copy. Sometimes you just have to go through it with, again, fresh eyes. Sometimes having a virtual assistant or someone help you that's a bit outside your industry, they can point out pieces that are more attractive to them, something that they would be interested in you covering. Guarantee you, if you look at the Instagram content you've posted 3 years ago, I'm not saying your view has changed, but I bet you have a sharper way of saying the same thing now. And that could be a really great way to get fresh content ideas, even though I know it sounds straightforward. And because we all like to use AI for everything now, I would even ask ChatGPT if you're going through your old blog posts or old Instagram content, like how can I bring a new, fresh lens to this? How can I make this relevant to Q1 in 2026? How can I repurpose this blog post into 5 different video script ideas? It goes on and on, right? Speaking of AI, that brings me to way number 3. Yes, you can ask ChatGPT for content ideas. I've already talked about how I think those ideas can often be mid at best. But if you give it context on who you are, what you sell, who you're targeting, and get super specific, it can be a great starting point. I like to ask it to suggest SEO keywords. However, I will say I don't think that it has the data to truly analyze what a great SEO keyword is. However, if it gives me 10 ideas, I can then take them into my SEO tool of choice and kind of vet them from there. I use Key Search right now. It's a really great one. It's kind of mid price point. I think the price is about 70 US dollars a month. So it's cheaper than some of the like big SEO companies out there. However, it has enough data, like dangerous in a good way. And yeah, I find some of the cheap or free tools, they just don't have the same amount of data. So yes, you're saving the money. However, what you're saving in money is costing you in time because the data and the options and the, filters are just not there. Remember, the reason you're writing SEO content is not just so that you can cross it off your to-do list, right? You do want it to rank. So this extra step is pretty important. Number 4, answer real questions, right? So basic, but this is a change that we're especially seeing as large language models continue to be used almost as people's first point of search. People are getting really nuanced with what they're searching for. Google actually recently has said they're seeing a higher search volume in general. And while lots of people are stopping on the first page just reading the AI summary, that for sure is happening. Because there's such an influx in more search queries, the click-through rate to your website could actually be similar. The jury's still out on this. AI is changing so fast, but that's something to consider too. People are asking questions every single day, constantly. They want things that are specific to them. You know your people. So if you can answer the questions that they're asking you, that's a great way to find content ideas. And if you're listening to this and you're like, Kara, my DMs are not blowing up. People are not asking me questions. I am begging. I'm putting up the survey box on Instagram and nobody is replying. I actually very much can relate to that. That's why I am actually off Instagram. I market my business entirely without Instagram and I love it. So make sure you're subscribing to my channel because I share about that journey here. But if you are not getting people asking you questions, that's fine. Look other places. So I like Facebook groups, Reddit threads, blog and YouTube comments, competitor reviews. People also asked on Google. These are all gold mines for content ideas that people are actually searching for. So don't neglect them, right? Like the answers are right in front of them and we're not about to make excuses in 2026, right? Number 5, borrow ideas ethically. So let me be clear. I'm not saying like go out, see what your competitors are creating and create that, but observe, watch what people are talking about, where there's friction, where there's strong opinions. I love threads for this. You could also head to Quora, again, YouTube comments, all great places to spot content gaps and then ask yourself, what do I have to say about this? What do I have to say about this? What value can I add to the conversation? That's how you create content that's relevant, but also original. Number 6, share behind the scenes. Okay, this is some of the easiest content to create, and sometimes the best content is just what you're already doing. Your workflows, your process, your client results, you click up board. Sharing that builds trust and transparency, and it never runs out, right? You're always doing stuff. I actually find I'm most starved for content ideas in my own business when I'm not really doing much in my own business. And so sometimes when I'm feeling like I'm really stretched for ideas, I will take a step back and be like, what experiments do I want to try? What should I be thinking about? Or what would I be thinking about if someone was in my shoes and they came to me asking for advice, right? So, for example, as I'm planning my Q1 content, I'm thinking a lot of people are going to be setting their goals. A lot of people are going to be thinking, is 2026 a great time to start a blog? What does a 2026 Pinterest strategy look like? All of these things I'm going to be creating content around. If you're interested in that kind of content and you want to get found online by people who are searching for you and exactly what you do, make sure to subscribe. Number 7, share mistake and lessons. Listen, I wish that content that was super positive and I did everything right stopped the scroll, but the reality is if you tell people what didn't work, it is like a catnip. If you share what failed, what flopped, what surprised you, this is the kind of content that is really appealing to people because not a lot of people share a true failure or flop, right? There's a lot of times where there's like this manufactured vulnerability, and I'm certainly not talking about that, to be honest. And listen, I'm not just saying to, like share your biggest secrets online. That's certainly not what I'm saying. However, sometimes if you can show your expertise and your humanity, like I used to do this, now I do this, or I tried this didn't work. And that's, that kind of like discernment, I guess, will cement you as an authority and an expert because you're trying things and you're showing that you're a human. Perfect. Number 8, reframe the content that you already have for different audiences. So this is a really easy one. Often we have more than one target client, right? So instead of constantly starting from scratch, you can reframe the same idea for different audiences. For example, I have a YouTube video that is like how to do SEO for coaches. I also have a YouTube video that is like how to write wedding blogs faster for wedding pros. I work with a lot of service providers and online business owners. And what's really cool about that is that it's the same strategy, right? They're trying to sell a higher ticket service that it's likely going to lead to a contact form or an application or something like that. I don't like to work with just one industry because I feel like then I end up working with a bunch of people who are competing with one another. So I can kind of take that unique advantage and create content for all of these different groups. Even though the content is similar, like what I recommend for a photographer might be the same as what I recommend for a wedding planner, it can create two different buckets of content. Okay, number 9, finally, bust some myths and share some hot takes. Some of your best performing content will always come from calling out myths or bad advice. Like, for example, blogging is dead. Actually, no, here's what's working. Weekly content is the only way to grow. Not true for everyone. You don't have to be controversial to get attention. Okay, but you do have to be clear on what you stand for. Oftentimes, I will just like, again, scroll through threads, find stuff I don't agree with. And some of my best content stems from that because it's my genuine opinion, right? And it's something that an AI model or something like people can't replicate that, right? And people can't replicate your true thoughts about something. I'm not saying to be controversial or share a bunch of hot takes just for the sake of sharing hot takes, but I do think that that is, especially if you can capture something timely, it can be a great way to find content ideas. And here's a bonus before I let you go, just start creating. I mentioned this briefly earlier, but at the end of the day, the fastest way to find content ideas is to do more things. I always believe that you get clarity from action, not more planning. I've seen this time and time again in my own business. As somebody who started their first business in 2017, and I've been writing blogs and doing Pinterest management for clients and working with other, I guess, business owners since 2020. I am telling you, I see so often people get stuck in like this planning, strategizing phase, and clarity is never found that way. Clarity only comes when you continue to take action. So, and hey, if you don't have content to repurpose yet, because I know that is something that I addressed a lot in this video, that's your sign to go make some. If you need help planning your 2026 blog strategy, if you're looking to hire someone to do it for you, all the details to work with me are going to be in the description box below. If you found this video helpful, I'd love to know which one of these 9 approaches are you trying this week. And other than that, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more content that helps you get found online.